This episode has been brought to you by EM Digital Marketing. Some of you have been seeing my ads on Facebook and the sponsored content. That's all done through Edward Morales at EM Digital Marketing. He understands analytics, demographics, and how to take your marketing to the next level. For a consultation, contact Edward Morales at www.emdigitalmarketing.com. This episode has also been brought to you by the original Town Pump Steakhouse in Westmoreland. For the best steaks in the whole valley, voted number one multiple years in a row. Make your reservation at 760-344-3663. The original Town Pump Steakhouse. Nothing beats the original.
The number you have dialed has been changed. Please note, the new number is...
Hello, welcome to Small Town News Podcast. My name is Gil, episode 111. As Brawley Elementary Superintendent Jaime Silva. I'm having a hard time saying these long titles. I guess it's a good thing, right? When my guests have very long titles. So he came on, shared what he's going to do, what they're trying to do, and he's been there less than a year, so it's interesting to see his plan and what he hopes to accomplish in his time here in good old Brawley. He recently also gave a presentation at the Brawley City Council on behalf of the city manager. I'm sure she saw me do my Facebook Live with him and was like, we need to do that. No, I don't know. I'm kidding. Who knows? But yeah, he gave a presentation at the city council. Pretty much kind of what he said here. Except, obviously, my show is a lot better and more entertaining than any city council meeting. I hope. But yeah, it was interesting. The city council, I said I don't want to get into politics, but I kind of have to. It keeps dragging me in. Like, politics is like the mafia. You try to get out, like, stay away from it. It just keeps pulling you. Like, come here, look at this. And so, I went to the Brawley City Council meeting. And so after he presented, Mr. Silva, they discussed the election. And so, pretty much the winner of this year's election for the two seats will be serving a 5-year term. Which... pretty cool. And also there will be for Brawley residents a utility tax placed on the ballot that the city will be asking for us taxpayers to bail them out. Sounds what it seems like. What kind of got me like not upset, but is when the city manager brought up this utility tax and said we have to pass it. None of the council members asked any questions onto why not to support it, or what if it doesn't pass. They all just like blindly like okay, and maybe they have discussed it, but I don't know, it didn't seem like that. It seemed like she said support it, it has to pass, and they said okay. And so as a resident, I'd like to know why and why not to support it. And what if it doesn't go through? I know the city manager said, jobs will be lost, but what jobs exactly? How much is the budget? How much will, and if what this tax is, like I know Central just passed measure P or Q, one of them, but they're going to benefit from it. It's going to benefit their city, whereas this utility tax that the council administration, Brawley administration will be proposing isn't going to benefit. It's just to keep us at the status quo. Like, they're literally asking us to bail them out. And it shouldn't be like that. Jobs shouldn't have to rely on a ballot, an item on a ballot. You should have your, eggs in place, or whatever the saying is. You should have everything in place prior to that, so you don't have to rely on that. But, hey, we're in the black, as everyone says. Our council's great. We have a jewel, So, that was kind of my only objection. We even had the mayor pro tem saying, I'll go door to door to say why we need this tax and why to support it. No, you're going to go door to door because you're up for re-election this year. Calm down. I haven't seen you go door to door for any item in the past 3 years. And all of a sudden, the year you're up for re-election, you're going to go door to door because of that. Really? Come on. Now, I might be biased or partial because obviously the Mayor Pro Tem and I have had our issues. For example, she didn't acknowledge me or even bother to say hi when I waved to her when I went to the city council meeting. She's blocked me on Facebook. I've tried to call her, reach out to her, and apparently she also has me blocked on her phone, unless her phone's turned off every single time I've tried calling. And why? Because I made a public comment in a meeting that she didn't agree with. And so she blocks me on Facebook, doesn't acknowledge me, and has blocked my number and refuses to talk to me. She's acting how an elected official should act. 5-year-old. A 5-year-old should act. My daughter, I've said far worse things to my 5-year-old daughter, and she hasn't been as petty as our Mayor Pro Tem. And I know you might say, well, you're being petty right now. Okay, well, I've tried to extend olive branch. I've tried to reach out. I would have messaged her. I called her. I tried to message her, but she obviously does not want to speak with me. Because why? Because I reiterated something she said. I literally repeated what she told me was a big accomplishment of hers. Now, whether, I would hope, and all these council members, the shots I take, that I hope they would prove me wrong. I would welcome them to come on. And Donnie came on, and I gave props to Donnie, because when he came on, he's put me on the spot. He's like, what don't we have? And I was like, I did not expect that. And so I'd like to be challenged too. And so, like I said, any city council member that's my phone, I probably cracked it. Any city council member from Brawley is more than welcome to come on this show and talk to me, challenge me, say, yo, you're wrong. I welcome that. But what do I know? I'm just a kid with a podcast trying to make a difference. And I know the election's coming up and people might think, well, you might be getting ready to run. I don't even know if I'm going to run yet. But listen, when I started this podcast, the idea of getting into politics or any elections was not even thought of. I didn't have any motive for this podcast or anything. Oh yeah, my grand scheme, I want to be elected to the council. What do? I'll start a podcast, and years from now, no. Listen, I just really care about our community, our city, our valley. I want, for it to strive. My thoughts have changed completely throughout this journey. A year ago, if you'd asked me about marijuana and dispensaries, I would have been like, yes, money, taxes, yes, jobs. But as I've looked into it and I've thought of it, and listen, I'm all for the freedom that people do what they want. I really am. But, for example, there's a book called Chasing the Scream, Johann Hari. He actually calls for the legalization of drugs. But in this book, he mentions the rat in the cage. I think we've all heard of that. The rat in the cage. He has water and cocaine. Or I think it's coke or a drug. It's a drug. I don't know if it's cocaine or heroin or whatever. But the rat's in the cage, and he has the option to drink water or take a drug. Take the drug. And he goes to the drug. And he kills himself. The rat ODs. Here he has water and food. And yet, it goes to the drug and kills himself. And people have been saying, see, that's the power of addiction. But, no. When they put a rat in a cage, and the cage wasn't just an empty cage as the one with the drug and the water, and the cage, but this cage had, mazes, wheels. It was Rat Park, they called it. They called it Rat Park. The rats never went to the drug. If you're in a cage, why wouldn't you take a bunch of, do drugs? You're in a cage. But when you have all these options to do all these different things, you don't need the drug. You're getting your endorphins and other, chemicals. Your body naturally produces endorphins naturally through natural highs. And so when I look at this valley, I say, what are we? I ask, what are we? Are we an empty cage, or the cage, or the rat park? And I think the sad, hard truth is that the valley is more like the first cage. And so we want to welcome something, like even if it's marijuana, to a place that has very little options. And so that's where I think we need to start. And listen, I'm conflicted on this because I've had my troubles. I've been in trap houses. I've been in, cheap apartments. And I've seen the transaction of drugs go from hand to hand, thousands of dollars, weekly, sometimes even daily, untaxed, unclaimed dollars. So I've seen that there is a budget, monetary benefit if let's say we have dispensaries, but at what cost? And then, people say we'll get money, the taxes from dispensary will get money, and what the hell are we going to put it to? Oh, so that's why our valley is the way it is, because we have no money. If we had money, oh my God, I mean, really, no, it's a lot deeper than that. And so that's one of the items that I've changed my mind on. I'm sure someone else can come on here and say I'm wrong, but I just don't think at this point with the state of the valley that a dispensary should be here. And you can say the taxes and money, but we need far more than money. Anyways, back to Jaime Silva, education. Yeah, great interview. I think I'd like to see what he can do. Like I said, and he even told me, I think, when we came in, he's like, listen, if you're gonna he just said, listen, I appreciate what you're doing, but if you're gonna try to play gotcha politics or the journalism interview with me, he's like, I would have just kindly said, thank you, Gil, but I'm not here for this, and walked out. And that put my mind like, wow, that made me respect him more. Someone who can do that, who would do that. Because I could have done that. Not that I could have, but I'm not trying to be like that. But if someone would play like gotcha journalism or interview with me, I'd probably be like, I wouldn't react like that, as calm and professional, as cool as I think Mr. Silva would have. Not that. So I appreciate Mr. Silva coming on, and also going to city council meeting to share what he's doing. Obviously, I think what the city needs is great schools and homes. And from there, you'll see benefits. So, if he's tackling the issue of trying to make our schools great, he has my support. So we'll see. Numbers don't lie, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm confident that he will come back and give me an update on where Brawley is and what needs to be done. My name's Gil. Episode 111, Jaime Silva, Superintendent Jaime Silva. Enjoy. Alright, welcome to Small Town News Podcast. My name's Gil. I'm here with Jaime Silva, Superintendent of Brawley Elementary School District. This is your first year.
That is correct.
All right. So I guess
first year with the Brawley Elementary School District.
Yeah. So I guess tell me about Brawley. I guess as you're in your first year, maybe not what you inherited, but some of the strengths and weaknesses that you see, or things that need to be addressed, being in your first year.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of my experiences. But before I do that, I think I want to give you a little bit of background as to what I've done. This is my 35th year as an educator. I started teaching back in 1982, and I started actually my teaching career in the school district where I was a student in Heber. I was actually born in Mexicali, but came to the United States when I was 8 years of age, and of course went to school in Heber and the local El Centro. Back then there was only one high school, Central. Anyway, decided to become a teacher. I taught for 7 years, and after 7 years, and during that time, I decided that I wanted to go back and pursue an advanced degree and have a master's in school counseling. So actually I had the opportunity to work in Brawley as a counselor many, many years ago, back in 1981. And I worked at Barbara Worth for 2 years. Never in my dreams that I think I was going to come back to Brawley, right, to work in the district. Then I went back to El Centro, continued my work as a counselor, then went back to school once again to seek a degree in school administration. So I was a principal at 2 elementary schools in El Centro. Then I had the wonderful opportunity to work as the director of migrant education for Imperial County Office of Education. So I was the regional director for 3 years. Then was given an opportunity to lead Heber for 12 years as the school superintendent, and now I'm here in Brawley, my 35th year, and this is my sixth month in Brawley. So you asked me, challenges, victories. Obviously, coming from a small school district to a larger school district, because Brawley is 3 times the size of Heber, there's more work to do. There's more personnel to manage, more people to work with. So that in itself is going to be a challenge. But Brawley has a great system in place that allows for these issues to come along, these issues that we can resolve as a team, because it's not just me resolving the issues. I have a management team that helps me. My approach to problem solving is a team effort. Of course, I lead the team, but obviously with support from everyone from the board all the way to the management team and site principals, teachers, and everyone that works in the district. We're a team that's trying to make some changes. I think one of the things that has been a focus area for me has been teaching and learning. Not to say that Brawley has not been focused on that, but that's really my passion and my background. I love instruction. I understand it. And so that's been a real focus. And that is to provide, to support and to provide opportunities for teachers to grow, administrators as well. As a matter of fact, right now, all of our administrative team, except for the vice principals, they're in Phoenix at a professional learning community where they're learning to become better administrators so that we can move the district forward. And just excited to be here. The district has beautiful facilities. I know that gymnasium that we all know is just a gem. It's probably the best gymnasium for a middle school. The schools are well kept. And so as well as I do that we just recently passed Measure M, and we're looking to build a brand new school, a middle school, because we're overcrowded and our elementary schools are fairly large. If you can compare them to other school districts in the valley where all of the schools are pretty impacted. So, that's a challenge as well. But all in all, it's going really well. I think that the variety of experiences that I've had as an educator, not just as an administrator, as a teacher, counselor, have equipped me with the skills to be able to lead our school district in what I conceive to be the right direction, which is to improve teaching and learning in our schools.
You talked about 35 years, and I always love to ask when people have been, I guess, what's been the biggest change or differences in education from when you first started to now?
A lot of changes. I can tell you that when I first started, even to become a teacher, the requirements were very lax. So, for example, let me use myself as an example. When I became a teacher, of course, I had to have a BA and then take some courses in education. And then in my case, I had to do a full year of student teaching. And that was it. there was no CBESD, no CSET, no RICA, no BITSA, and I know I'm throwing a lot of acronyms out there, but for people that work in this business, they know what I'm talking about. So those things have changed progressively. Becoming a teacher nowadays is not as easy as it was when I became a teacher. I remember in the good old days when the CBESD, which is a basic test, a basic skills test came, and I remember that many people were concerned about the test, because if you couldn't pass that test, you couldn't be certified to be a classroom teacher. Well, then after that came, these other tests, the CSET and the RICA, and then you have to go through a BITSA, which is a program for beginning teachers. Is it a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. It prepares, it ensures that teachers have the basic skills to be teaching our children the curriculum that they're expected to teach. So in that aspect, becoming a teacher nowadays is way more rigorous than when I became a teacher. Now, as far as the actual teaching, a huge difference back in 1982 when I taught, from 1982 to 1989, those are 7 years, we had no standards. Now we have the Common Core state standards. Before that, we had the state standards. But back then, we didn't. We had textbooks, obviously, but we also gave assessments, but they were not high-stakes assessments like they are now. As you know now, we had an old accountability system where schools were given an academic performance index, a number, and you were ranked based on that number. Now we're moving into a new accountability system where multiple measures are going to be used. So there is a high degree of accountability to ensure that students are learning, and I think that's a great thing. I'm a big proponent of accountability, but with support. I think that we use taxpayers' money, and we need to use those funds responsibly to ensure that the children who are entrusted in our hands are given the best quality instruction that they deserve. And the reason why I say that, Gil, is because I have to tell you that I come from a background of a family who was a migrant. I lived in, and I'm not ashamed to say this, in a very poor environment. My parents were farm workers, so I was, in reality, a migrant student. I followed crops with my parents, and I'm not ashamed or to say that. I always share that about me. But the equalizer for me was that I received a decent education. I had teachers that cared about me, and my high school teachers, and of course when I went to college I was highly motivated, because one thing I knew for a fact is that my dad would tell me, if you don't get an education, I'm going to bring you with me so that you can learn to be an irrigator, because that's what he did. And he would work, long days. Sometimes we wouldn't see my dad for days. And I thought, you know what, that's not something I want to do. And so, of course, I picked tomatoes, I picked figs, bell peppers, and I knew what hard work was. So I thought, that's not the kind of life I want to live. So when people ask, what were your biggest motivators in life that got you to pursue an education, I said, well, my parents, and obviously my experiences working in the field. They were not pleasant, but it was something that I needed to do to help my parents. So I'm very passionate about providing students opportunities, opening doors, especially for students who come from underprivileged backgrounds or families, because I think, like I said, education is the equalizer. It allows students to advance, even though they come from poor families or disadvantaged homes. Here in the United States, it can happen, and it does happen, and I'm an example of that. And I know there's lots of people out there that are examples of what I'm talking about.
When you talked about the standards, does that, I guess, maybe hinder a teacher's ability to take, or an administrative to take control of a classroom, or do you feel you're hindered by these standards at times, and when maybe you're mandated to do certain things that take away from maybe just a teacher?
Your autonomy or your creativity? Well, you know what? Some people may see it that way. The standards are basically the expectation of what it is that my students in a particular grade level, whatever grade level I teach, that is the expectation of learning. And so how I go about that really is the job of the teacher and the administrators to help make that happen. So the standards are not prescriptive in terms of how we teach, but they're more outcomes of what we want students to learn. So while some people may argue that it takes away their creativity and the fun of teaching, I think that great teachers, and we have many here in Brawley and throughout the Valley, are able to look at the standards and really understand them and make learning fun, engaging for students, meaningful. So I think that that's just an art to be able to, because I think teaching is an art and a science. The science is to know how to teach, and the art is how to deliver it. Because some people know content, but the art of teaching is a different matter. There's two things they're two separate skills. One is the science of knowing how to teach reading, how to teach mathematics, and the other is the know-how, and the other is how to deliver it. Because I could be extremely intelligent and have proficiency in a particular subject matter, but if I don't know how to convey that, if I don't know how to teach it and motivate my students and make it relevant and meaningful, then students are going to have a difficult time with that. So I would say that good teachers combine that science and that art, and they understand those standards, and through their good teaching, the pedagogy, the instructional strategies, they make that magic happen in the classroom.
And in sort of good teachers and accountability,
yes.
I guess, how do you hold a teacher accountable? I guess, what's your basis on a teacher's success?
Well, I think the teacher's success is the teacher's not alone. The success of the teacher is, first of all, teachers have to be well trained. It's just like in any profession. Just because I have a degree in education or as an administrator doesn't mean that I'm going to stop from learning. So we learn every day, and our job is not a destination but a journey. I'm learning every day, and like I said, I've been in this business for 35 years. So it's a matter of providing our teachers and our administrators, not just our teachers, and our paraeducators, anybody that's involved with educating children, the opportunity to learn and be given the opportunity to improve their skills, learn new innovative ways of teaching and delivering the content. You're learning more about the content as well. Like I said, it's the know-how, it's what we're gonna teach, but also how to deliver it. So it's that. It's also providing support for teachers in the classroom. For example, I was a principal for 4.5 years, and I always made it a point to go into classrooms. But of course, as a principal, you have to evaluate your teachers. But those visits are not always for that type of purpose. Sometimes you go in and you want to coach the teacher, or you want to praise them for something that they've done that you know is a good thing for the students. So professional development, making sure that they have the resources, making sure that the principal, the administrator, is supportive of the teacher, guiding them, giving them feedback. All of those things matter. And of course, here in Brawley, we're very blessed that we have academic coaches in all of our elementary schools except for the junior high. So they're tasked with the responsibility of going into the classroom to model lessons for the teachers, to co-teach a lesson with the teacher. So there's different scaffolds and different ways in which we can support the classroom teacher. Of course, at the end of the day, they're accountable, to ensure that the students that they have are learning. And how we do that is by making sure that, they're following the standards, And one thing I do need to say is that sometimes people get confused with the book being the standards. The book is not the standards. It's just another tool. The textbooks that we use address the standards, but not completely. So we make sure that the teachers are accountable for their teaching. Here in Brawley, one thing that we started that we didn't have, you asked about challenges and some victories. We started what we call benchmark testing in mathematics, because if you look at our math scores, they're a little lower than our language arts scores. So we've been conducting quarter assessments, and these assessments are not summative, meaning they're not used to grade a student or to classify a student, but rather to inform the teacher and to inform the school how we're doing. Is what we're doing, is the strategy that I'm using, is that an effective strategy to teach a particular standard? So we use it to inform instruction, to inform our next steps, but we also use it to identify students who are succeeding and those who are not. And for those that are not, we have an obligation to provide extended learning time. And we're trying to get to the point where we have well-defined extensions for our students that are high-performing, because we do have students in our district that don't need remediation. What they need is extensions to challenge their thinking and enrich their learning. So I know accountability has like a negative connotation. I don't see it as a negative thing. I think it's a great thing. I don't mind the board making me accountable for some of the things that I'm responsible for. I think that it's just it's responsibility that we have, and it's a job. And our job is a very serious job. Imagine molding minds, working with children. We all have the ability to lift or destroy students. Imagine working with little kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and even our junior high students. As educators, we have that ability to, plant the seed of hope, or tell someone that they have no hope. And sometimes, in our profession, those things do happen. Unfortunately, you and I know that.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. And, you talked about some of these scores, because I know there was a letter written, and talked about the greatschools.org rating. Brawley schools, weren't very highly rated, and so I guess when you hear that or read that, I guess what's your take on it? I think they rated Brawley, some of the elementary schools, as 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, and so when you hear that, well, I guess what's your take on that? What do you feel like?
Yeah. Well, my take is a simple one. We have a lot of work to do. It's as simple as that. So I would never sit here and share with you that as the superintendent of the district that I would be happy that our schools are rated, a 4 or 5 out of 10. So we have a lot of work to do. We move forward where we are, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make things better. I'm sharing with you a plan that we put together that our governing board adopted October the 11th. And this is an improvement plan, and we named it a plan to champion student learning. And it has four areas that are interrelated. And of course, I'm not going to talk a lot about it if there's not an interest in it. But the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, we have a lot of work to do. But I'm of the mindset that when we work in collaboration, when we work together as a team, that the collective wisdom of many of us coming together really in a cleared and shared and unified focused way of resolving issues, that we're going to get better results than one particular person, even if that person is a genius. Collective wisdom always is going to be better than single intelligence. So we are where we are, but I'm very optimistic that the work that we're doing, the focus that we have placed on the teaching and learning aspect, and I really do mean that. And if you want to corroborate with that, what I'm telling you with any teacher in the district, they'll let you know that this year has been marked by a year where we're really pushing for collaboration. We're really pushing for teaching and learning. We're making teaching and learning a high priority in the district. Not to say that safety is not important, not to say that facilities is not important, but that's why we exist. That's our business, to educate children. And so I know for a fact that if we continue to work this way, our scores are going to improve. If the delivery of our teaching improves, and I'm not saying that we don't have good teachers, it's just we need to focus and we need to tweak here and there, and a byproduct of that is going to be the good scores. And you can't have good scores without good teaching.
Yeah,
it always works that way.
Yeah, I talked to Todd Evangelist, and he said, go look at Heber scores. You'll see this increase. Heber, under your leadership, that it was an outlier. That this, and so I guess what was what did you do there or what did you lead there that led to that increase of scores?
Simple solution. The solution is focus. Stay the course. The things that I was mentioning to you is making teaching and learning a high priority. So there's no silver bullet. It took quite a bit of years. When I went to Heber, it was probably one of the lowest school districts in the valley, if not the lowest. I don't remember, but it was very low. And I'm saying this, and I'm sure people that are going to hear this will admit to it because it's true. I'm telling you a fact. But it was a team effort. The district. I did not do it alone. Obviously, we had a very supportive board. Our staff was very invested in what we were trying to do, and it was just good teaching in every classroom every day, making sure that we went to professional development. And this is this plan. So this plan resembles what we did in Heber. Okay, so we learned, meaning teachers went to professional development, administrators went to professional development. So we go learn innovative strategies, best practices, research-based strategies. Then what we learn, we apply it, we teach it, we take it to the classroom. And so when we're in the classroom, we're making sure that we're gauging whether or not the students are learning, right? So, and we provide, we make sure that we check for understanding as we're teaching, making sure that students are engaged. And back then, Heber had coaches, and so the coaches also help, just like Brawley does. Then we go into we assess. So then we learn a strategy, we practice it, we teach it, we coach one another, or if we have a coach, the coach comes in and gives me feedback or demos for me, the principal, as well as my coach, as my evaluator. Then we assess. We assess whether or not the students are learning. And then once we assess, we do something with the data. Decisions have to be data-driven in schools. If we're making decisions without looking at data, it's like shooting in the dark. It's like I can't prescribe a remediation program for you if I don't know what your deficiencies are. It's like going to the doctor, right? They're going to say, okay, you need to get blood work done. Okay, they find something wrong. Well, hopefully the doctor will know what it is. But if not, they're going to have to continue to do more tests. So we assess, not just to assess, but we assess to determine in what areas is Jaime deficient in. Maybe he did really well with this standard or that standard, but he's having some problems with geometry, or he's having problems with any other skill that we assess through a standard. And then the next part is we intervene or we extend. So it's a cycle. This is a plan. It's a cycle. It looks like very comprehensive. And for us here in Brawley, each of these components has activities that we are working very, very intensely to put in place. So in Heber, it's a process that we followed, and it took years. But it has to be that relentless focus on teaching and learning, making sure that every day in every classroom we have the best pedagogy, the best teaching happening to ensure that those students are receiving the best quality instruction. It doesn't happen any other way.
You know, and one of the things is when a few letters are written, people said, don't blame the administration or school. It falls at home. So I guess how much of responsibility, of education also falls on the community or parents in a way?
Of course, that's, I have here some other points that I wanted to talk to you about, but, the high level of family and community involvement makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference, but it's not the determining factor. The number one determining factor, of course, that's going to influence. I'm not going to tell you no. If you have parents that are not very supportive, it's going to make the life of a teacher in that classroom way more difficult, or the administrator trying to get the parent to be supportive. So there is no denial on that one. But for me, the biggest indicator of success is what happens in that classroom every day. Because remember, do we have control of what happens in those homes when children leave our schools? We don't. But do we have control of what we teach in the classroom every day when the children are with us? Yes, we do. So we have to focus on what's within our control and what can we do to ensure that the students are receiving the best learning environment and the best instruction to equip them with the skills that they're going to need to go on to the next grade level, to graduate from elementary school, from high school, and if they choose to go to college or the military or whatever, or a technical, or seek a technical career, that can be their choice. But I don't want to tell you that I don't think that the lack of parent involvement or engagement makes no difference. It does make a difference. It does. It makes it tough. But I personally believe that when you have good teaching happening in the classroom every day, and we have systems of intervention, that's the equalizer. In my case, my parents, I'm going to tell you this, my parents valued education, but my parents don't speak English. And they were farm workers, and my parents would work late. My mom used to work in the packing sheds. My dad, I told you, he was an irrigator. He was never there. So if I was going to base if someone was going to base my success on the fact that my parents were not there when I came home, then I would have been a dropout. I think my success, the things that I've done, was because I had teachers that inspired me, and of course, I already told you that I had my own motivation. I knew I didn't want to be a farm worker. Not to say that that's not a job that's a decent job, but as you know, it doesn't pay well. So that's how I look at it. Now, someone else can come here and tell you that they totally disagree with me, but those have been my experiences.
Those struggles helped you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I knew, listen, when you're 12, back then I was 12, 13 years old, and I know the laws had changed in California. Imagine getting up at 5 in the morning at 12 years of age or 13 years old. I worked until I was 18 years of age. We used to go up to Merced every summer. We would leave in June and come back in October. And we would be, like I said, we'd be working in the fields from June all the way to October, picking tomatoes, picking figs, bell peppers, you name it. So that is hard work. Heck, imagine working under the sun and just tired, and getting up in the morning was the worst thing for me. I hated to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. And my dad would drill that to us. If you don't study, this is what you're going to do. This is going to be your life. And I said, no way, that is going to be my life. I'm going to do something. So my struggles have helped me. Learning English was a struggle for me. I'm an English learner. Of course, I speak the two languages proficiently. I went to school in Mexico in kindergarten and first grade, but I took a lot of Spanish courses in high school and college. So I'm very proficient in both languages. I can read and write Spanish very, very well. And so learning English was very difficult. But, I just know that experience. And then I had a fifth grade teacher who made a world of a difference for me. He really believed in me. And, when you have someone like that in your life that makes a huge difference, it has far-reaching effects on individuals. And that's what I tell myself, and I tell people, and I tell educators or teachers when I have a chance to talk to them, that, children may not tell you that you made a difference. I never told my fifth grade teacher that he made a world of a difference, and I still remember him. But the way he treated me and the way he just lauded me for the things that I did, and I didn't think I was all that smart, and I was learning English. That changed my perspective. I thought, okay, maybe I do have some brains. That in combination with my experience, my struggles, working in the fields, I didn't like it, and my dad drilling that to all of us, my sister and my other brothers, well, it kind of shaped my perspective to the point that, I'm so glad and so blessed to work in a business that I love. I was born to be an educator. This is not something that I fell into. I actually worked for U.S. Customs. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, I was a customs inspector, worked there part-time. I was a teacher and worked there on Fridays, Saturdays, and sometimes Sundays. During the summer, I worked full-time, and there was a time where they were asking me if I wanted to work full-time. But I was already teaching, and I really loved teaching, and I decided, no, I want to do this. I really enjoy it, and so I was born to be an educator. I love what I do. This is my 35th year, and I wake up every day with just this passion to come to work and to make things happen, to open doors, to create programs, to support our teachers, to give opportunities for administrators to learn. Because at the end of the day, who benefits? The children, the students. So I'm very blessed to have a job that I love, and that I don't have to get up at 5 a.m.
You're still working though. You said you were born to be a worker.
I'm a worker. I am a worker. I am. People that know me, I am a workaholic. But I love what I do. I love what I do. I was born to do this kind of work. I've always been a worker. I'm known to come to work on Saturdays. And it's not because someone tells me, and it's not because I'm wasting time or not using my time wisely. It's because I like to be prepared and organized, and I just love what I do. But I am a worker. I've always been. It's just my personality.
It's because my grandma, similar story, worked in the fields, her and her family.
Yes.
And how her and her brothers and sisters all went on to, be self-employed and successful. And I hear that a lot when I speak with people from the older generation, that this having to work hard at a very young age and carrying that on. And do you feel like kids are maybe not getting that now?
Well, I think so. I can tell you that I didn't raise my two daughters that way, and so they just had a different upbringing, and it's just there's something about learning to appreciate. When you're a young kid, $1 or $2 or $5 in your pocket, because it was a lot of sweat that went into having that money in your pocket. So nowadays,
smartphones and iPads.
Of course, I didn't have
any.
I didn't have any of that. Obviously, my parents couldn't afford it. But but we still had a very happy life. We always had food on our table. My parents were very loving, and they're both are still alive. My father's going to be 85, and this next month my mom's 84, and I do value and I appreciate the work that I have now, knowing that I don't have to be out there in the heat working or in the cold working, making a living. And again, it would be horrible for me to tell you I have a job that pays well, but I hate it. I love what I do. I love it. And like I told you, I think I was born to be an educator. And I do know that my experience as a child growing up and being a farm worker and the struggles that I have made me just a stronger person. And perseverance is something that I say I've always been that way. I have self-discipline. I'm very self-disciplined on the things that I need to do. And so you learn that. And although, people will tell you, but I think that's something that you just have to learn. Without self-discipline, you can't be very successful in anything that you do. You have to discipline yourself to do things that you have to do, even if they're not the most pleasant things to do, because there's some things about my job that I don't find particularly totally pleasing, but it's just like any other job. There's things that you have to do. But I think that if you have self-discipline and that you have passion for what you do, that's a win-win combination. And that's what's happened to me, and I've been very blessed to have this kind of job.
Oh, thank you. I know you got to be back at
yes.
by 7, so we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate you coming. Anything final thoughts you'd like to say? Anything else?
No, I just want to tell you that I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I do want to share with you, and I'm sure people will listen to this podcast, is that in Brawley Elementary we're actually very busy working to improve our instructional program. I know that at times, we have our critics, and every organization has its critics. But I welcome you or anybody from the community who wants to come and visit our schools. I'd be more than glad. I'd be delighted to take you to classrooms so that you can see the great work that we're doing. This work, the transformation of a school into a great school, which was our quest and our desire and our hope, is going to take time. Changing an organization takes time. It takes, again, focus, staying the course, perseverance, and the know-how, the tools, the professional development. And I had a list here of other things that I wanted to share, the high expectations.
This is a free flow show.
Effective school leadership, high levels of collaboration, of course, making sure that we have our teaching and learning materials, the frequent I already spoke about frequent monitoring of the teaching and the learning, supportive learning environment, because we talked a lot about our academics, but children also need to feel that they belong in that school. When you don't feel a sense of belonging, this is where you have children who isolate themselves, and then their attention, their mental attention focuses on other matters that don't allow them to concentrate and to really attain their fullest potential, academically speaking. So that's important for us. And just again, involving our families, that's always a challenge, because I don't think that parents don't want to be involved. It's just that they're very busy too. They have, their work and their family. When they come home in the evenings, they have children to feed, homework to check, things to take care of. And then, schools have functions in the afternoons or in the evenings. It's very difficult I realize, for parents to make time for that. But I think that more and more, I would encourage parents to really just take, every so often, go visit your schools. If there's a function, go find out what's going on. Go visit your child's classroom. Go to parent conferences. There's always something to gain from those experiences. And you know what? Children value that. When parents give education a high priority, then children learn from their parents that is a high priority for my mom or my dad. That must be important. But when families don't ever talk about those things, well, then children are not expected to talk about that, because they learn what they see and what they hear. So, But we're working very hard in our school district to improve teaching and learning. And I can tell you that I'm a very positive and optimistic person that we're going to get there. It's going to take some time, but I encourage anyone that wants to come and visit our schools to come. Please call me at any time at the district office, and I will definitely make time for anybody that wants to come and visit and look at our programs. I'm very excited to be here. I want to tell you that, I drive about 30 minutes. I live in El Centro. I don't live here in Brawley, obviously. I don't know if I told you that, but I don't. But at first, it was 30 minutes is nothing, I know. But I had to get used to that, because when I worked in Heber, I used to go home for lunch, 7 minutes. So I don't go home for lunch anymore. I eat here. But I love the community. Everyone has been very supportive, and my board is very supportive. The administration, they understand the vision that we have in place. I think our teachers understand too. And you know what? It's okay to disagree. It's going to happen. It happens in families. It happens everywhere. Let's just not be disagreeable. You know what? It's okay to disagree. And sometimes when we disagree and we talk about the issue, guess what? We come up with a better plan because we're in dialogue, we're in communication. And when we do that, we come up with a better product. And again, who does that benefit? The students. We can't forget that they are our clients. And I know sometimes people think that that's kind of ridiculous that I talk about our students being our clients, but our parents and our students, they are our clients. That is our business, to educate children and to welcome our parents to our schools, because they do have choices.
Appreciate you coming on. Look forward to having you on again, giving me some updates and sharing about
Anytime.
the work. Cool. Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.